Hi everyone, I'm Alice.
And I'm Amy.
And this is Waterfront Wednesdays, brought to you by Boston Harbor Now. On this episode, I'm joined by Amy Whitesides, a landscape architect and the studio director of Stoss Landscape Urbanism, a design firm based in South Boston.
Hello.
Amy, you've led a lot of projects around Boston Harbor, especially for the city.
Yeah, Stoss has been the lead for climate-ready plans for East Boston and Charlestown, for Moakley Park's vision plan, and now for climate-ready downtown and the North End.
And it's with the downtown North End plan that I think Boston Harbor Now has really tried to get engaged. We've been tracking the other projects, but we're really excited about thinking about Long Wharf.
Yep, it's past, and it's present, and it's future.
So let's dial it back to 1721.
If I was sailing into Boston then, I'd be really excited. The Bostonians, led by Oliver Noyes, had spent over a decade building this incredibly long wharf that went way out into the harbor over a third of a mile from where the Custom House stands today, all the way out to the end that you can still explore.
And it's a huge upgrade from the previous situation where ships arrived in Boston Harbor, dropped anchor, and had to move all those people and goods to shore in little rowboats. Now the boats could just pull up and unload the way you parallel park a car.
And with this, the simple pier becomes its own bustling little world with shops and storehouses, and they could dock 50 boats all at once. And the industry that supported it was housed all the way along the pier.
And jumping around in time, we find lots of different moments. Like
in the 1770s, the British landed troops here to enforce their laws in the colony, and they departed on Evacuation Day in March of 1776.
It's a major hub of trade in the early history of the United States, not only to Europe, but also to Southeast Asia and to China.
Even as shipping gradually moved over to what is now the South Boston Seaport and eventually to Conley Shipping Terminal, Long Wharf continued to be part of Boston's active shipping industry.
I only recently learned that bananas were a major import at Long Wharf from the 1870s all the way till the 1940s.
That's bananas! What's also crazy is that Long Wharf, when it was really, really long, the city actually filled in about halfway out. And so now it's a lot shorter. And not only that, there were all these other wharves out there, including Long Wharf had a little buddy wharf. It was called T Wharf. Oh, you know. And there were all these wharves, other wharves like it, that were out there, and even all the wharves we know today look completely different.
Yeah. And I think people lost track of Long Wharf in a lot of ways. The fact that the elevated central artery was there, and then the crazy construction of the big dig that put I-93 underground, all of this was visually cutting off the Long Wharf experience.
Then there was a 1976 Waterfront park that's now named for Christopher Columbus. It started to bring people back. And so then by 2007, we built a greenway, and the greenway really was completed to connect downtown and the waterfront again.
Yeah, which brings us roughly up to the present condition.
So on an ordinary summer day, you'll find people all over Christopher Columbus Park to the north, all over Central Wharf to the south, and even on Long Wharf itself.
According to Boston Harbor Cruises, there are about 140 passenger vessels that depart every day in the summer. That means on average, a ferry is departing once every 6 minutes.
Long Wharf is covered in people queuing for boats.
And it also means that people who know that they are on Long Wharf, they've spent the special wharf that spent 300 years jutting further into Boston Harbor than any other, they come down, they go all the way out to the end, they look at the sailboats, they look at the tankers, but not everyone knows where they are.
Yeah. The actual urban design of the place means that most people who are just looking for the aquarium or for the hotel or the park, there's nothing really that pulls them out to the end of Long Wharf.
Yeah. If you visit at low tide, the water also seems really far away. You have to get right out to the edge and look down at it.
Yep, but at high tide, the water is right there. And when there's a king tide or maybe there's a storm surge, the water comes up and over Long Wharf.
Yep, and we saw that during the storms of January and March of 2018 when Long Wharf was almost entirely submerged.
And you can see on the flood maps that with sea level rise, those tides will flood more of the wharf regularly. And with a 1% storm plus 40 inches of sea level rise, an unchanged Long Wharf really becomes the flood pathway into the larger downtown area and Quincy Market and Faneuil Hall.
Yeah, and flooding on some parts of Long Wharf is already occurring with enough regularity that people have plans in place. So the Chart House parking lot, Chart House restaurant, they know that this is happening. They'll clear out their whole first floor, they'll push out the water, and then they'll put everything back when the tide recedes.
Yep. At some point we kind of have to decide though, are we going to live with the water or are we going to try to keep it out?
So how will we balance the history, the water transportation, the need for resilience, and the desire for public space in the future?
Well, first we need to think about Long Wharf in its context. There's really a lot of publicly owned land and really welcoming uses. And as we build for resilience, we want to be sure there's a coordinated effort to create a really public waterfront.
A unified design that connects Christopher Columbus Park to the proposed Blue Way for the aquarium going north to south.
Yes. And historically, it was really the first place people and goods arrived, and the design was all about coming in from the water. But today, this is really the gateway to the harbor. You know, it's really the way in which you go from the city out to the water.
If we think about it even more broadly, resilience. How are we going to tackle resilience in addition to space?
Yeah, so we need to find ways to elevate the area to protect against future flooding. But we also need to retain access to the water. So for example, boat docks need to get wet. So there might be a strategy that allows some water to come in some places, gets people down to the water in places, but strategically kind of elevates the whole area in a coordinated way all along the waterfront.
And thinking out into the water, we want to find ways to draw people out towards the harbor, share that layered history of this place, building on things like the Walk to the Sea signage that exists today.
Yeah, and in the long term, there's a unique opportunity here to create a model for both adaptation to higher sea levels and new kinds of public space connectivity. So this could be an international model for how resilience could be equitable, welcoming, open space that's really the people's waterfront, truly for the people.
And in the short term, we can add more ferry capacity, more places to wait in the shade on a hot, sunny day, kind of de-emphasize cars and parking so that all of Long Wharf feels a little more welcoming to the people who are walking there.
Yeah, and a lot of this was considered in the Climate Ready Downtown Plan. The planning emphasizes the need to act soon to protect against the flooding, so I anticipate there will be some more detailed designs to follow.
It'll be exciting to continue to watch Long Wharf evolve, and we hope that you both come down to Long Wharf and help to shape its future.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Amy Whitesides.
And I'm Alice Brown.
And you can follow Stoss on Twitter at StossLu, L-U, or follow my lighthouse swims at Amy, BLS 2017.
And you can follow me at Fairy Fairy.
If you like this video, give us a like or leave a comment below.
Tell your friends and subscribe to this channel.
We'll see you out at Long Wharf.